Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it is 7:03. We'll call the May 2025 Board of Education regular meeting to order. This meeting is being held in Zach, a copy of which is right there. And with that, we will take roll.
Jason Art. Kathy Plesner. Here. Chase Cradaville.
Here.
Brian Locker.
Here.
Steve Slygeis.
Here.
Shannon Wilmot. Here.
All right, let's hear we have a quorum. To play.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, agenda item 1.4, regular meeting agenda. I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that we approve the regular meeting agenda as presented.
Thank you, Cass and Steve. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Cassie Plesner. Yes. Chase Cradaville.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Steve Slygeis.
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot.
Yes.
Jason Art.
Yes.
Agenda item 2, welcome to guests and public forum. Before we get to the students, is there anybody here to address the board? Okay. Students, we started this last month, so you get to be the second iteration here. Just for the board, since we only see a few each month, that'd be good if, and you can sit down, you don't have to stand up and do this. Just tell us your name and what your plans are after graduation. That would be awesome.
My name's Thaddeus, and I'm going to UNL.
And what's your last name?
Benzer.
And you know what you're gonna be studying at Lincoln?
Agribusiness.
Okay.
My name is Jody Jones, and I'm doing online for childhood development.
Okay.
My name's Grant Sir, and I'm going into pro bodybuilding.
Okay.
My name's Rowan Roper, and I'm going to study interior design.
Perfect. Thank you all. We appreciate it. And we'll move into agenda item 3, consent agenda. And here you'll see the minutes from last month's board meeting. You'll see the financials. Dr. Lewis and I went through them. I'm gonna pull them up here real quick. The hot lunch transfer, you'll see this time of year was a little less than it usually is.
We're ordering less.
Yeah.
So that's good. We're eating up what we have, and what you will see, like next month, that balance will go up just a little bit because everyone will have paid their bills and we won't have to pay for the order. So that'll kind of wrap things up a little bit.
On the check register itemized, you'll see critical response group and implementation of safety program. That would be the mapping grant that we received, so that will be reimbursed for the cost on that for reference.
Yeah.
I know there's a couple other things stuck here.
Yeah. I know my written on copy was on my desk.
Oh, the pottery wheel.
Yes.
That was another item that was on the bill.
It was curriculum, yeah, we paid for it with, because it's adoption year this year for fine arts, and so that was.
I know Mr. Finkson talked about it previously.
Yeah, that's what that was for.
I had a question on the very first one.
Okay.
What is that? Something goes.
All repaint, so it's repainting a post, so we,
Repaint. I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know what it is.
yeah, they came in to do some touch-ups around the track.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Yeah.
Just a spelling. Yeah, I'm like, Reliant? I don't know what that's supposed to be. I got it now.
It's one of those fancy words where you have all of the vowels.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Anything else?
No, the only other thing,
Yeah, and you will see too in hand payables, there's funds registration for nationals. That's 29 students that have qualified, and so there's just going to be a lot. I see a lot of those coming out. They're doing lots of fundraising. So if anybody's watching and you're bidding on a silent auction item, those end tonight. So you can bid those up a little bit too. But we just have, it's really great to have so many kids going, but it's also expensive to have so many kids going. So
and we would have talked about that when we did the building budgets for next year, we increased that line item, just because of all our kids going to
Yeah.
nationals.
Yep. And then how much expenses, you see that there. Anything, anybody have any other questions on the rest of the financials here?
What is really good stuff on the visa bill?
Really good stuff.
That is the name of a company. It's just a teacher supply company.
Okay, I'm like, it's on there all the time, really good stuff.
Like, it should be like really good teacher
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's what they should call it, but it's, yeah, it's teacher supplies.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's not the, yeah, Jen didn't enter that.
Really good stuff, okay.
Really good stuff off of Amazon.
I don't know, okay.
Yep.
And then our balances here at the end of the year were pretty close to where we were in some areas last year at this time. Some were under, some were over. Just kind of a reminder too that, that sped the school age revenue there. Remember, I under budgeted for what we would be receiving as receipts last year. So it looked like we were 132% over because they actually gave us what they told us they were gonna give us, which was 80%. And so I budgeted appropriately and we're not right. Oh, the cord, I'm sorry. We're having, I know nobody touched anything. It just, will it? It didn't come back.
Yep.
Wait. Sorry, we're just, okay. We're just hopeful.
You're good.
There we go. All right. Should we just switch cords? Let's just do that. Maybe. I don't know if there's any help in me at this point.
Dr. Morgan, I know I saw, we need to remember those preschoolers, those tuition numbers aren't just, they're a little loud.
I was wondering, do we have fewer pure miles than we did last year?
Yeah.
And I did not change the
Got
amount
it,
to
okay.
expect
Yep.
as revenue. Thank you. That was what I suspected happened. I would just throw that one away because I'm tired of that being fixing it.
And then car line taxes, is that, like, I saw last year, it was only at 25% at this time, so
Yeah.
it just takes forever to come in.
It comes in and along. It doesn't come in with all of the other,
It's just odd for it to be so much further behind than all the rest of them.
yes.
And it's just it's a little amount. It's
Yeah.
not-
It's not.
It looks like the, like, just a note, the transportation, high school transportation maintenance, looks like it's much better this year than it was last year. Like,
Yes,
we're
we've
not,
got that
so that's
balance,
nice to see that things are more balanced.
We struck another balance. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go grab a different cord extension, I think. We don't know what is happening, but I need to block it.
It's only a high technology. Well, the end of that one cord is bent, and I'm wondering if it's bent in the wall.
That's what they say.
Yeah, so sorry. All right, any other questions
We
on
had, and
the financials?
I just have a question about the balance for athletics.
Yes.
Did you guys talk about like moving money around differently or something so that that number is going forward? Are we gonna,
So we have a larger transfer scheduled out of the general fund, which we do kind of at the end of the year. Yeah, we have more, and then we are repurposing or taking some expenses out of there for the next budget year and building them into the general fund.
Okay,
budget
so it'll look more
because they're
balanced.
recurring expenses, yes.
going?
Yeah, it doesn't look great right now, not at all. But we do have a bigger transfer coming in, and we, like, some of the things that have become recurring and expensive, like Strive and Huddle, will be coming out of the general fund, because they're just our regular expenses instead of coming out of athletics. And then we just have to pay really close attention to what's coming in, what's coming out. And, yep. Mr. Shade and I will be working on that once we're through these district budgets that you will see later on in the meeting. And he and I will sit down and we go through the athletics, that one and in there. And we put it up for you to take a look at soon now. And student vending there too, if you see that, yeah. No, that was your book, I'm looking at the wrong.
So your book was the only other one that was a little
Yeah.
bit.
So student vending, you will see a nice, it's in the hole a little bit, that's 785. So we had a vending machine for students out there that was run, it was run by a company that came and they stocked it and they gave us a percentage of the money and they took the rest of it. So that company sold it to somebody else and that person quit coming to fill it. And so then when he realized that he had it here and he came and saw that it had stuff in it, we said, well, we kind of abandoned it. So we started loading it up ourselves and so then he came and took it. So we bought one. So now we own the machine. And we can put our own stuff in it and we know exactly what to charge for items. We know what the kids like to eat and what is all considered like healthy snacks. And so we loaded ourselves now and with the hope of just breaking even so the kids have snacks like I like out there.
I don't know if healthy snacks are what they like to
And
eat.
vending machine.
There are
hand in
some
hand.
healthy things.
Yeah.
These kids, this is the healthy generation, Chase, you would believe, like all of the healthy snacks that they just beg for.
Not like Snickers and Doritos or what?
We know that they're all
Like
The guy go bodybuilding, yeah. But, yeah,
Like-
I'm asking all this and the other.
I think they really just want us to quit talking about them.
Mm.
Does anybody else have any other questions on any of the motions? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Thank you, Brian. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Chase, Brian Walker.
Yes.
Steve Slighthouse.
Yes.
Shannon Holman. Yes. Jason Art.
Yes.
Basil West.
Yes.
Motion carries. Letter 4, curriculum instruction report, school improvement visit update. Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, so the 25-26 school year was scheduled for a 5-year review. We have that scheduled for November 24th and 25th, I believe is the dates that we looked at the calendar and talked about the other day in our team meeting. So it'll be like the Monday and the Tuesday before Thanksgiving break. So they will send a team out. Again, we are shifting from the Cognia, which was the Advanced Ed North Central accreditation is what it was years ago, and it kept changing names and it kept changing systems. So anyway, we're shifting from that to the Nebraska Frameworks visits. In order to prepare for that, we are attending a workshop this summer because Dr. Morgan and I have been on some frameworks visits, and one of my schools out west is framework, but most of our team have only been involved with the Advanced Ed, with the Cognia approach. So we are going to Columbus. So you're in a review, you're training for us that they're hosting at the service unit there. So we'll be working with NDE people, making sure that we have everything in order and ready for them to go in November. So that's the whole update on it.
Okay.
Not an awful lot.
Pretty, okay. We'll go to agenda item 5, principal reports. Dr. Morgan.
Yes. We had Pender honor being on campus. 5th and 6th graders go to Pender. They practice all day long and then perform at night. We had, what did we say? How many do we have? Thank you, 23. I didn't put it on there.
You did, yeah.
23 of them participating. So good performance. It's super fun to see all of them jam in that gym. So good stuff. Field trips. We are hot and heavy in the field trip season. Got a list there, and then we have some outside experiences that have been happening. Washington County Fairgrounds and the Ag Literacy Festival every year. That's super fun. And then 5th grade just got back from water. 1st grade did swimming lessons again this year. That is grant funded with the YMCA, and so we get to participate in that. Go 4 times in the month of April and learn some just initial swimming skills and getting them ready for swim season. Teacher Appreciation Week just wrapped up. Big thanks to everybody involved with START. Did a ton of work and planning and prep for a great fun week. And then Mrs. Burns also helped, and parents, PTO, and
I went to a student council on there.
student council, student council on the high school side. It was black. And then Bacon School just wrapped for the year. You got some totals on there. Deposits were over $36,000, and then we'll be paying out the 6th graders are just shy of $6,500 for payouts. So when they graduate, they get a check back with all the money that they saved through elementary school. So yeah, super fun. And there's our Eagle of the Month for the month of April. Eagles of the month, and they exhibit those soaring behaviors. Picture there with some names. So doing great stuff. with their little yard signs. That's it, that's all I got. Sunshine and rainbows, elementary style.
Mr. Fingston?
Yes. You see on our report, the NCC Art Awards, we've got Ruby was our Artist of the Year, and Lydia was awarded the Student's Choice Award. But overall, well over half of the entries placed. We inducted more into the Hall of Fame at Honors Night than I can remember ever. So we see those there. We've got a couple of World Herald academic honorees, so good job there. Graduation will be this weekend, so we'll save you a spot when we're on the side or on the stage, depending on who you are. We can talk about that. We need to sign diplomas today, Vice President and President, so we got those here. Middle school honors day will be the day after graduation in the new gym. We do that in the morning. We did a community service stuffed animal drive. That scroll down, we had almost as many in the high school as the elementary. We almost caught them this year. So that's Mrs. Rowland who led that charge. And then we had our first American degree awarded to an Arlington FFA member, Brady Monkey. So that was the first of our Arlington FFA to receive that award, that recognition, and that is the highest recognition that an FFA member can receive. So a lot of work. Obviously, he's continued that on in his post-secondary education, but
Now, does he go to national convention for that, Aaron?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, I thought I had he did.
But we had, I don't remember how many with the state degree. I can remember kind of the beginnings of understanding it, and like that was a big deal. So this is a massive deal. So, yep.
Very good. That's a season, school year ending type stuff. Mr. Shada?
Yeah, with the same theme, there's just highlighted folks that are going in there at athletically. Some of these things are worth a read, in my opinion. Look at these awards here. It's quite long, so I won't read it all to you, but congratulations to Khalees Krevlovic for girls wrestling, state medalist in the Hall of Fame. Haley O'Daniel and for cross country and track and field. Colby track and field. Now, some of these folks obviously still competing, so opportunities to add to that. I don't know. I won't take it for Colby because of mine. We haven't had a Regent Scholar and an Athletic Hall of Fame person that jumped off recently. I'm sure we have a few. I would say that's happened before, but that's pretty impressive to me that you are truly a scholar athlete in those senses there. So that's high on. And then we had some folks that were gracious to come back that were graduated last year but got inducted because they were at the state meet the last May. And so we have Kevin Fletcher, Noel May, Keenan Faust, and then Dallin Franklin, who are also on that 4x4 and 4x8 relay. Got to honor them at the Booster Club banquet the last Sunday in April. Did they all get a something?
Did they all come back?
They did. Yeah, it was super cool. Yeah, it's fun to see. It's fun. Yeah.
They're all pretty close.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to Colby, he also was a Hall of Fame music awards. So
Yeah.
he really hit three
areas.
two scores. So yeah.
He wasn't on that esports team for FBLA, was he? That placed at nationals
No.
last year.
You're making good double hits there.
Okay,
No, because he would have then that was he would have then been
Different.
recognized
Yeah,
at that
that was
crew too.
yeah, okay.
Very good. We'll go to agenda item 6, superintendent's report. Dr. Lewis?
Your NASB and NERC reports are attached. I'm not sure if NASB is on there, but NERC says attached. The legislative updates, the last meeting I had, things that are going to impact schools. The ideas are kind of going, but they're kind of starting to hang some of those like pieces that they wanted on certain things that didn't pass are kind of getting attached to other things now. We know that the retirement contribution changed, but then there became a budgeting issue with the exclusion that we get. So they had to attach that piece of it to, I believe, 653 is where it got attached. Either that or it got attached to 306. But anyway, so they had to go back and add an amendment to a different bill to address the fact, because you used to get an exclusion, it was outside of the lid for the amount of extra that it cost you between the 7 point whatever and the 9.78. So they had to adjust the language for that now that the contribution is going down and it's based on those levers. So that will be considered with something else. 653 is the option enrollment for special education students, like mandatorily accepting them in a ratio or percentage of regular education students comparatively like that. So just a challenging concept because the amount of students that we get who apply with special education doesn't necessarily even create that ratio, so we could accept all of them and still be out of compliance with the ratio if we don't. So it could limit the amount of students that you take otherwise. It's limiting students who are applying because of school choice, because, so it would be a state imposed restriction on parents' right to choose for their students, regular ed, and if we are a school like we are, where we only get a couple of special education options every year. So anyway, and the other thing that we're looking at is 306, and a lot of things kind of attached to this one, and I only down the one that I thought that was most important. The superintendent pay transparency, that piece where they were trying to connect it to, 20%, or a teacher has to make 20% of what the superintendent makes or whatever. They kind of gave up on that concept, but they are still trying to limit the types of other ways that superintendents sometimes generate revenue for themselves to certain specific things. Like they're basically saying if you're a superintendent, that's it, no other jobs for you. Well, guess who did not like that? Were like search firms who use superintendents to help them with their vetting process and run searches, and the colleges that hire these people to teach their admin classes, because who's better to teach an admin class for a university than an administrator in a school? And those typically don't interfere with the normal work. I think that they're trying to they're trying to have some exceptions, like adjunct professors, like possibly coaching, because that limits some schools that just don't have, like some very small districts that don't have people that can coach things. So it was just a bad idea to tell superintendents that that's all you can do. If you're a superintendent, too bad, so sad. You can't do anything else to make money because you make enough. That's really number one. Not really the American dream so much, if you consider it that way. And it really is, I don't think there's any other position that you could be in where they would say, well, that's it for you. If you're this, you can't do anything else with your time. You can't do anything else to try and make more money. But anyway, so we'll see where that all goes when it comes down to it. Of course, they don't quite have a budget passed yet, which is okay. So there we go. They have, 14 more days, or no, not even that much to consider to get a budget approved, don't they?
I think they're voting on it Wednesday.
Okay. So the shortfall is not as bad as it was at the beginning of the season. I think they were talking, $465 million deficit before. Now it's down to like $190 million deficit. I don't know.
Depends at which point you're talking about.
Okay, yeah,
They've balanced the budget.
thank you.
It is balanced, and then they'll vote, I thought, this week on all those cuts to balance it to offset the deficit.
Yep, so I lost track a little.
We'll see, and then it'll go to the governor's office, and then he has the ability to line item veto, which is a unique ability. So he'll line item veto certain things,
Out of certain bills.
and then send it back to the legislature, and then they'll have to override with a 2/3 majority of the unicameral if they want to override his vetoes.
you have it. All right, the blog is attached for you to review. I will probably also take at least a half a day, if not a full day this week to get ready for, graduation of my child. Evidently, it's time consuming to get those things ready. You would think I would know it by now for the third one, but. So you can expect to see that one on there. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Board retreat coming up on May 27th. The time on that will be 5 o'clock is what we have to plan. Before I begin the search for the perfect location, does anybody have any objections to anything that I can?
Is everybody going to make it? First question.
The 27th. That's fantastic. So I'm going to probably first try the golf club if they think it's gonna be too crazy because it's an evening in May now and not an evening in February. We'll maybe shift over to the marina and we'll take a look at that in Blair. And if not.
The marina isn't open on Tuesdays, they're open starting Wednesday.
Oh, they're only on Wednesdays. Okay, so never mind about that one. I'll figure it out. I will send everybody the location and we'll get it advertised appropriately. Okay, great. Okay, security cameras. I only have one estimate at this point in time, to do the upgrade and updating of our security cameras. I have contact with another one who has gotten back to me. I need to get him in to walk the building and see what he would propose. So that hopefully will be forthcoming and ready to go for you in June. Just a reminder again, now that we can use QC Cuff for school safety and security, we can upgrade those cameras with the remaining funds that we have. We won't be levying in there anymore unless something comes up, but we do have access from paying off that bond, so we will probably more than likely take a look at doing that. And then the discussion of transfer of the phone system. So our phone systems, like really not supported by any company or organization anymore. We're on Toshiba phones that are just, lots of things kind of run through our phone system, so it makes it tricky to talk about going to this over internet protocol for phones. So we've had one group come in and look at it and give an estimate. We haven't seen their estimate yet. It's taken them about a month, and they finally did get a hold of us like yesterday, I believe, to maybe it was over the weekend that we got that message. Anyway, so they're ready to talk to us about that, but Dan and Scott were at the Ed Tech conference a couple of weeks ago and found some other contacts for some people too. So we're looking, trying to figure out how reasonable it is. If that would be something that would be a this summer process, if it's something like your copiers that you can pay for it on lease kind of thing, if it's a next summer project, if it's so big. Anyway, that's where we're at with that. I think Dan and Scott have a meeting scheduled with the group, but they scheduled it on a day that I had something else going on, and I don't remember what it was. It was just a bad day. It was Thursday, it was district track, that's what it was. So anyway, they're going to listen to them, and then we'll talk to some other groups too, and see what they can do and see what their ideas are.
All right, agenda item 7, committee and representative reports, 7.1 finance committee. We met right before this meeting. It's an agenda item later on. We looked over the district level budgets, which includes buildings and grounds, curriculum, tech, and transportation. So we can go over those a little more in detail. New business. We have no unfinished business. We've got agenda item 9 and 9.1 in new business. 9.1, discuss, consider, take necessary action to appoint the Washington County Enterprise as the official paper of the Board of Education. Due to the recent consolidation of the newspapers, we've had our official paper as the Arlington Citizen. Due to the Enterprise now encompassing that, we just have to make it official with that name change is what it basically is, for us to post all of our notices for our meetings and the minutes and things like that. So that's why you see that. You don't usually see that. You usually see that in January, not in May. So that's why you see that. So I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Washington County Enterprise as the official paper of the Board of Education.
Second.
Thank you, Cassie. Jason, since we moved to second, is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Brian Locker,
Yes.
Steve Slycase,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot, Jason,
Yes.
Cassie Glessner,
Yes.
Chase Carter.
Yes. All right, motion carries. Agenda item 9.2, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve the purchase of the school bus. I'll turn this over to Dr.
So what you have, what you're looking at is a quote for a used bus, which would be coming off lease, 25 to 30,000 miles on it, or a leased bus. I'm sorry, a brand new. Which one did I say first? I'm sorry.
First was the
I
lease,
do not know.
First one's a new
First
one.
is
but the
Thanks.
NIC is,
Yeah,
the
so
first one's the new.
the demo stock, what they're showing is the brand new one. So if we take a look at that one first, this is the cost of a new bus, and on top of this, you would have to add another $2,800 for the things that we need that are not included. Jen, is that the under bus storage and things like that?
No, that is just, so the current price that they have listed on this one, because this is what he has, is a 65 capacity bus. We typically get a 71 capacity bus, which is an extra $2,800, just to get that extra.
I knew there was
A
extra.
bigger bus.
So it's $2,800 for 6 more seats?
Yes.
Okay, is that the only additional cost, Jen? For things we would need on it?
I did not look, let me see really quick. I think the only other thing that was extra would be air conditioning, if we wanted to add that.
Do you know what that would cost?
Oh, that was about, it was quite a bit. It was $3,000 or $4,000, like,
I think
a couple years ago.
I'm going with a no.
And does the used one have air conditioning?
I'm not sure.
I'll go look at it.
Damn.
And again, this is like, the used one, it's just, it has to be one that's on their lots. They don't all,
It's one that's being used currently.
yeah, they don't all, we're not getting, they're telling us this is what you get the gently used one for, but it's not necessarily this specific
Got it.
one.
I
So,
think this is, the majority of what is listed here are the things that, after I spoke to the bus drivers and the mechanic, the things that they wanted to make sure we got on the bus. Last 2 buses we got didn't quite have, not really, I'm not gonna say luxuries, just that were as good in working condition as these more sites.
so
These are like the trusted and true
They
types of
wanted the
things.
comments, they were less specific about the Thomas. This one is the right capacity.
So very similar for what they
Well, I
have.
see on the 26, that one has, air brakes, and the other one had hydraulic brakes on it, is that correct?
Yeah.
Our driver on there, so either one, they're able to drive because we have them get there. Which one they do.
The new one is the air brake and the used one is the hydraulic.
Yeah.
Do we have any buses that have hydraulic?
I don't think so. That might be a mix. That's the type error. I don't know.
That 20.
The 23 has hydraulic. It's
It's
at
on
the
the
very
top.
top. The third, fourth item.
Oh. So, Jen or Dr. Lewis, with that additional capacity on the new one, that puts that roughly 136,430, and then can to use one at 107, so call it $30,000. With or I'll turn it over to, I don't know if building and grounds talked about this. I don't.
We do, yes.
We talked about the difference between the new and the off lease. We talked about, the fact that we probably have a couple that we can get rid of. They would trade on either one of these, Jen, is that correct? So we could get rid of the one that's sitting in the
Maybe
trees.
2,500.
Yeah.
3,000.
You don't get much.
Got it.
The other thing we could do is we could not trade them and we could put them with like DPA options or something like that. and see what we get out of it.
What are they, what kind of a lease deal do they set up with their new ones?
I don't know, we've never looked at actually being the person that leases it, so when they're coming
I'm
off.
just
the lease,
asking, if they're basically, they're $30,000 difference between a 23 and a 25, that's 2 years. You know, if it would be something that, you could put it on a lease for 2 or 3 years and you could buy it at the end of the lease. If they're doing that, I mean, I'm just asking a question, I don't know.
Can a school lease a brand new?
I sent that to the
Committee members, the leasing a brand new one, okay. I don't know.
I'm just asking, I don't know, Don, I'm just asking, I don't have any idea, but it just makes you wonder, you know, if you're there and you look at the numbers, basically you're looking at 30,000, well, that's 2 years, and you got a bus that's got, how many miles on it?
20 to 35.
How many miles?
Yeah, if-
Buck a mile.
20 to 35.
That's a pretty big range.
if
On this, but they don't have it, and they don't have that bus until.
I mean, you're looking at, just doing the ballpark math, you're looking at a buck a mile, but you're not comparing apples to apples, because that one's got air brakes, the other one has hydraulic brakes. I mean, one has air conditioning, the other one don't, I mean, it's not comparing apples to apples, so that's where I'm at.
How many miles, Jen, on average, does a bus put on it a year?
Depends on the
You're
month.
right.
We'll run the
I
reports
have
at the
too
end
many
of the
numbers
summer.
running through my head right now to know exactly. I'm gonna say probably, gosh, if we go 20,000, that's high.
Mhm.
Okay, so I just pulled up the lease options that I sent out to that they sent me. It is a 3-year lease.
Okay.
They do it to 16,000 miles per year, and it's $1 per mile over.
Okay.
Everything over that. You can either walk away from at the end of the lease, or you can purchase the bus out at
Whatever's left over.
whatever's left over, yes. The warranty, obviously it's the warranty. So this was from, you're looking at like whatever the 133, that's your new bus price. So you're gonna have your yearly lease payment. This was for Kimball, one of the schools, was 25,000. And then after the 3 years, their option to buy out was 60,000. So 3 years at 75 and then 60 to buy out. So it's pretty much the same purchase, you're just stretching it out over 8. But your mileage is gonna be your,
What's the life cycle of a bus when you buy brand new, Jen?
well,
Looking at this one.
yeah. I mean, we've got buses so our buses are all numbered the year that we purchased them. So we've got a 2010, we've got a 2013, we've got a 2015, 2017, 2018, they're all still.
So we're getting more than 6 years out.
The most current buses that we purchased were in 2020. They're both
So it's been a while.
5 years.
We're getting our miles.
And the 2010 is still being used,
It's being used daily.
so.
I don't know, based upon that information, if the lease route.
No, I don't agree,
Is
if
it-
we're doing it that, I didn't know what we had I didn't know what the year was on.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
So I think the question is the new versus the used. If we're putting, call it 15, 20, that's safe to say?
Yeah.
A year. And buying one that's already got 20 to 30, so you're losing, I guess the question is what's it?
Say here,
Maybe 2 years?
let me see if I can tell you exactly what the newest ones. You can keep talking, but I can probably.
You have to ask, it's a $30,000 difference per used, and so that's the question, is it worth saving $30,000 to get, and it's gonna have 25 to 30,000 miles on it, but we're getting 150,000 miles out of a
2
bus,
years.
so.
And you lose on the warranty, that's the only other thing.
There is a remainder of
18 months
factory
of
warranty.
left by the time we
Yeah.
get to it.
This one will have 2 years of warranty.
3 years, but the other one's got 5.
I will, many of the things that go wrong with these buses are not necessarily, I mean, they'll come out and they'll fix them. You get the brand new ones. You know, if something's gonna go wrong, it's gonna go wrong in the first couple of years and they come out and repair it. You know what I mean? So if you're getting one that's already a couple of years old, it's probably had all those little things that go wrong with it. I don't know. That's my experience, to buy a brand new bus and either the driver does something wrong with the bus and they didn't learn properly how to do it, or just something came glitchy out of the factory and they come, those are the warranty things that you end up getting fixed. So you're not looking over or anything like that. That's my experience. That doesn't mean that's always the case, but
I'm gonna say if annually we're 10 to 15,000 miles
Okay,
per bus.
so 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Lewis, this is for the FY 20, this is
this is
24,
for this
25
fiscal
budget.
year,
So
yes.
what did we, one, what budget, and two, what are we able to based upon the budget?
In the general fund, we budgeted $100,000 for vehicle acquisition. We do have money in depreciation that could be accessed to pay for the excess.
Because either way, we'll have to access no matter which route we go.
Yeah, I mean, we could overspend that budget a little bit in that general fund line item if we got the used one, but if we got the new one, we would have to split our funds between the general fund and depreciation.
Buildings and grounds, did you guys have a recommendation on this, or did you just kind of?
It's been a couple months since we've.
And, wow,
Okay.
we kind of just
Yeah.
took the
One
information
more
in
thing
and
to take into consideration, a new bus, and this
Yeah.
by no means is to
Yep.
sway your, we would not be able to acquire the new bus until December. So there is a possibility you could pay part of it out of this year and you could pay part of it out of next year if that.
If you buy the off lease, it would be on the lot now. It'd be
Right.
available this
If
summer.
if we buy the used bus, we would be taking possession of it before August. If we buy the new, we're probably looking at, I don't know how they would break that, how they would do that payment. We could pay some, some now and some later.
Or you could move the 100,000 out of depreciation into depreciation and then throw it all out of depreciation the next year.
And it's not emergent, right? Like, we don't know.
We don't need, like, no,
But we wanna
We
get on the
can
list.
wait till December.
yes, we can, yes.
I don't know where the rest of it is. I'm kind of split on which route to go here. So I kind of lean on Jen and Dr. Lewis here, especially Jen, since you kind of coordinate this, or Dr. Lewis. Do you guys have a direction you're leaning based upon your experiences with these buses and miles and things like, is there a direction you guys are leaning? Thanks for your help.
I'm sorry. Obviously, you're looking now, I mean, the new buses are, there's nothing, there's no bells and whistles, you know, it's like it's looking like, we're really gonna get this brand new,
Yeah.
spectacular fancy new bus,
Yeah.
so I
It's not
think
gonna be better than the off lease one. I mean, as far as this goes.
it's just.
We're just looking at the,
I think the warranty and the miles
Warranty,
is really what we're
yes.
talking about.
you're losing 2 years.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
2
That's,
years warranty and 2 years of life.
so the question is $30,000 worth the
2 years
extra warranty
warranty.
and 2 years? That's,
Well, and potentially splitting.
yeah, over two different.
Yeah.
That's something that can happen.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm thinking of, Jim. I mean, when you compare them to it, I think you want air brakes on either one of them. I don't care.
Right,
You know, if the guys are, if they're doing it now, the buses have got air brakes on them.
yes.
They need to have air brakes on all. They are the same.
And,
As soon as they get behind that other bus,
yeah,
it's a totally different driving animal. I mean,
and I would.
we've had air brakes since those, you
I
know,
didn't catch that, and I would
I'll bet that.
I would beg that that's not right, because
I don't
you
know
have to
any
have
of
an air
those
brake
things that-
license to drive a bus.
that's just it.
I just
know.
can't.
No, but
Yeah.
we purchased our buses out west without air brakes because our drivers didn't want to get it, so we had hydraulics. So if that's what's coming off
Yeah.
lease, that might be what they have sitting on the lot too. It could be right, I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't know what it meant.
I think for the mileage and the
Sorry.
warranty and looking at the dollar, I think that we should go with the new option because I think it would be a longer life, a longer warranty. I'm leaning towards the new bus. I know that it's more expensive, but we also get good use out of it, and there's a potential for us to, if we don't get that in December or whatever, and who knows how that all works out.
I don't disagree on that, with getting 2.5 years extra than what you is and giving flexibility of maybe splitting it across annual budgets. I don't disagree with that.
If we purchase new, probably what we'll do, because we won't pay for half of it before it gets here, I'll probably just move that total line item into depreciation, we'll pay for it all out of depreciation next year.
Got it, so roll it over and then.
We'll roll it over, or you know, like 80% of it.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Is it common practice to be able to keep buses 10 to 15? Right now, we're averaging 10 years. Figure-
You know, it depends on how they're driven and what they're used for, and like the condition of the routes and things like that.
For Arlington, probably.
Well, I'm just saying, because we're able to do that, $30,000 prorated over 10
Yeah.
to 15 years is not a very big figure.
You're right.
It's
Yeah.
more. Now, if we were gonna run 5,
Mhm.
I'd have a bigger issue.
Yeah, because
I
then
do.
you're talking, yeah.
30.
Yep.
But if our average is 10 to 15,
Yeah.
I would win that way.
Okay. I think we're kind of leaning that way. You know the amount.
Yeah, add the 2,800 to that.
I would like to motion to approve purchase of school bus, not to exceed $137,000.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on this?
And that's going to the 71 passenger, right, correct?
Yep,
And that-
so it'd be for a
That's the extra 2,800, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that would be,
Well, the driver has.
Driver has these.
Right,
but I mean,
Yes.
the 4,000.
Yeah, they're not within
Yeah.
the amounts and
yes,
the.
yes, unless Jen goes. Yeah,
They're going through.
If it's under 137,000, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever.
Load it up, yeah.
Yeah.
I got $137, $137,000.
Yep,
Oh my gosh.
yep, it would be for the 71 passenger on the 26.
Yes.
Okay. Any other thing? Okay, let's vote.
Steve Slygeis,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot,
Yes.
Jason Art,
Yes.
Cassie Plessner,
Yes.
Chase Cotterville,
Yes.
Ryan Locker.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Agenda item 9.3, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve senior class members to receive the high school diplomas. 5 of you are probably very interested in this. Mr. Finkson, anything, pretty straightforward. Anything for us to be aware of?
Say yes and have some smile.
All right.
Thought you meant yes, there's something to be aware of.
No, say yes. Make a motion.
Okay. All motion to approve senior class members as presented to receive high school diplomas.
I'll second it.
Okay,
I love it. I love it.
been moved and seconded by Steve. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Shannon Wilmot,
Yes.
Jason Art.
Yeah.
Cassie Plessner.
Yes.
Chase Cotterville,
Yes.
Ryan Locker,
Yes.
Steve Slygeis.
Yes.
But they're not signed yet.
And you don't get it until afterwards.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 9.4, consider take necessary action to approve the district level budget. So this was, I referenced this in committee reports in agenda item 7. So the finance committee met before the board meeting this evening, went over 4 district level budgets: transportation, buildings and grounds, curriculum, and tech. I'll turn it over to Dr. Lewis to kind of go high level through each of these, and we'll just go from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Start with transportation.
Yep, we're gonna touch this one first. It's the first time we've really lumped transportation into this because it's always, it's been relatively stable. We've been able to budget the same amount of buses, things like that. The reason I started this year to the 2 district level budgets is because of the transportation situation. We're not sure what's going to happen. We're not sure if they're going to allow us to continue to use the vans. So I wanted everyone to see that I'm feeling like I need to increase this vehicle purchase line item. So last year, That totaled $100,000 that we just talked about buying a bus. The between elementary and secondary split there, that totals $200,000. Just in case we have to replace all of the big vans that we have sitting out there. And, you know, so do I have the side-by-side comparison? No, the biggest is, I'm going to tell you it's up $100,000, just for that purpose specifically. So that's, that might require me to do some different things, other areas of the budget when it all gets put together. We do have, you know, all of our costs related, and we're only allowed to grow so much, but a lot of those are spent, so they will be outside of the lid. So lots of things at play there, but I just want to make sure we have what we need in case we have to buy several levels. So you don't see all of the last years and the comparisons. I just wanted to put this one in here for that specific reason. The buildings and grounds budget. If you scroll way to the bottom of this, because there's a lot of codes and there's a lot of different sections, this encompasses 4 total account codes and lots of object codes. And so it gets kind of tricky. What you need to see here is at the bottom, this is over 4 years. So from last year to this year, what I'm proposing is an increase of $38,000. That's $25,000 of it is our liability insurances and things like that that are connected to our facilities and buildings and grounds. And those things are not that much. So in general, then we're looking at a $13,000 increase. And if you go back to 2 years ago, our total budget was $923,000, and we're still only at $857,000. So while it's growth over last year, in general, we're looking at a pretty stable budget line item for the past 4 years. You can kind of look at that rolling average there. If you go then to the, sorry, I have to close that to get to the next one. Curriculum, which is the third one on there. We had some teachers and Mrs. Wolf come talk to us about iReady, so I'm going to talk to you about the increase here at the bottom, and I made it in a color that I thought was easy to see, but on here it's really hard to see, but it's an increase of $16,066.38. Now, some of that is bringing back some things that we kind of let go of, and some of that is bringing things out of the building level budgets and putting them into this, but then actually being included with our building level budgets down here. So these general supplies here in this 1,100 is a big part of that $16,000 increase. That was like refilling consumables for super kids, like K through 3 expenses that we probably should have really considered with the building level budgets, but they're curriculum, so they got sent to curriculum, which is kind of strange. And then AR we let go of. But now with the new library media specialist and some teachers wanting to use AR again in their classrooms, we added that back in. The big one though is the iReady program. So what iReady is, it's a diagnostic tool and it's also an intervention tool. So this would replace for us the cost of average and the cost of reading and math for IXL. So it offsets about, well, we figured about $9,000 worth of cost, but it's a better, more useful tool. And the students that piloted it for us in 4th grade saw such growth this year. And the teachers came and spoke how specific it is and how it does a lot of things for you that a teacher would spend a lot of time trying to figure out themselves, like creating small groups for kids so they can isolate down into, like, these 5 kids are struggling with this specific standard. Here are some things for them to use. Anyway, they got a ton of growth in 4th grade. They said some of them showed a 400% growth, lots and lots of improvement. They gained a year and a half back, some of them. So this is what we would like to go to replace FastBridge and IXL next year. So there's some increase there. We absorbed some of that cost increase by taking this training and development line item out of here that we've had in for the past few years, but we really haven't used it because a lot of the curriculum training comes with the purchase of curriculum. So overall, that increase looks like 16,000, but truly it's probably more of an increase of 6,000. But they did a magnificent job telling us why that increase is a good idea. So rather than like approving that one specific iReady tonight, we kind of talked with the curriculum director about going back and seeing what they would do if you sign like a 3-year deal with them, because they're so in support of it. and to really see the full impact of something needed across multiple years anyway. So they're gonna see if that changes the cost proposal, and we'll revisit that as a specific line item purchase in June. But it will be part of that, the curriculum budget in general.
Did I see that number had not changed since 21?
Which, yeah, it's, yeah, so if you look, yeah, now let's look at that. Let's look at the 5-year trend that we've got going here. So it did decrease a little bit some years because of things shifting to different areas of the building, but you are absolutely right, Steve, and that's something I pointed out. Because 5 years ago, this budget was $39,000, and we're just really kind of right back to that because we were able to reduce, but then it came up. So we're still only $39,890 for what is quite possibly some of the best tools that we've ever been able to put in hands of teachers. So,
Through an extraordinarily inflationary period.
yes, through an extraordinary inflationary period. You are 100% correct about that. And then finally, the tech budget. So we take a look at that. Dan and I went through this together line by line as well. We managed to account for some student computers that we're going to need purchasing and replacing and minimize by reducing in some other areas there. We repurposed this because some of this cost is now paid, some of our Power School cost is paid by our service units through district service funds. And so we took that out and added it into the computers that we're going to need to buy. The overall increase on this budget is $2,500 on the year, so that's good news. I have to decide which color to use because I know it's confusing from spreadsheet to spreadsheet. Green is not good, red is not bad, it just is what it is. Anyway, so it's a pretty minimal increase for, once again, the cost of all of the stuff going up a lot. So we're doing our best to keep things as level as we can from year to year, but still getting the kids everything that they need.
I'll just touch upon a couple things that we went over in finance committee. On the transportation item, and this is definitely a question for you, if before we adopt the full budget later this, or in the early fall, if we find out in the interim that the feds are not going forward,
Yeah.
worst case scenario, correct me if I'm wrong here, but we're able to lower that budget amount.
Yep.
Correct? Got it.
This is just a number for me to like
That's
get
what I
in
thought.
there now, so I can see what we're looking at.
Yep.
It might also be restricted by budget authority, you know,
Yep.
because there's only so much we can grow the budget. And like I said, some of our growth is in sped, but it's not all in sped, so.
And if we, okay, got it.
We can still revisit it
Yep.
later.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. And then, following up on the curriculum discussion for everybody, you know, we talked about this for a while, probably could have talked about it longer. So the, iReady is for both math and reading. Currently, correct me if I'm wrong here, they only have the ability to utilize our current systems for reading, in 2 different subjects. So we're gaining a whole other subject. And it wasn't really even close with the feedback compared to FastBridge and iExcel, compared to iReady, and it would be for kindergarten through 8th grade. For that, so the one question we had was basically, you know, the difference after you subtract iExcel and FastBridge was about 5 to 7, and we asked Mrs. Wolf and the teachers that were here, is it worth it? And it was resoundingly yes, due to the abilities to, 1, assess the kiddos, and 2, if needed, then use intervention techniques to address the areas that were identified in the software. So the committee really supported it. The only outstanding thing we had was, hey, just because we don't know what the cost is after year 1, we're a little leery about that, because Mrs. Wolf negotiated them down quite a bit on price. We wanted to try to lock in a longer contract at a lower price just to protect us long term. But we can address that, as Dr. Lewis said, afterwards as a line item. But I wanted to highlight those 2, the transportation piece and that curriculum, because those are 2 of the larger increase you see from this year compared to last year.
One other thing I forgot to mention in the curriculum one as well was that, at the time we were putting these together, the state told us that we were going to have to pay for maps on our own, that they weren't going to contribute. And then we got some notice last week that we might be backtracking on that, and maybe they would provide funding for some of that. And Tasha said, do you want me to get a new quote? And I said, not yet, because I don't, but that's for sure yet. So, again, for maps built into that is the worst case scenario where you have to pay for it all. It would be less than that if they decide that they are, yes, going to continue to pay for a portion of maps for us.
Okay. So that was the two things that I wanted to just bring up. Did anybody have any questions or anything they wanted to go over on that?
We're good.
I'm good with
Okay.
You guys have any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve district level budgets as presented for the 2026 year.
I'll second that.
Okay, move a second. Thank you, Brian. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Jason Art,
Yes.
Cassie Fleisner,
Yes.
Chase Cradaville.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Steve Slickies,
Yes.
Shannon Moore.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 9.5, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to forgive 5 contract days due to weather cancellations. This one's pretty straightforward. So I'm assuming this is for certificated
Yes,
staff.
this is for different.
So obviously due to, let me think if I did everything right here, power outages, snow days, wind or visibility temperature days.
One was extreme cold.
um,
3 were no power blizzards, 1 was just a blizzard. Yeah, so it's been a lot.
I'll make a motion to forgive 5 contract days due to weather cancellations for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
So moved and seconded that you see, is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Cassie Fleisner,
Yes.
Chase Cradaville,
Yes.
Brian Locker,
Yes.
Steve Slickies,
Yes.
Shannon Moore. Yes. Jason Art.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. We will adjourn at 8:05 PM. Seniors, if you want to bring up your papers, to any of the board members, they'll be able to sign them for you.
I had it simple, actually. You have to ask,
Steve, graduation, I'm just kidding. Are you gonna be there? Not, no big deal.
I betcha.
Let me.